Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of The Rule of Two here on this channel. We're sorry for the hiatus. That is totally my fault as far as laziness and stuff goes. This is the third time that we have tried to do this recording because the previous two times we have had terrible, unfortunate technical difficulties. So if we sound like we've said this twice already, we've said it twice already.
This is the third time, but we're excited to be here and saying it again.
Yes. But yeah, with me as always is Misa Sista.
That's right.
And of course today, as the title suggests, we're going to be going over the first two episodes of The Mandalorian. It's finally out, and all of its goodness is for us to inject into our veins.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, thank you, George, for coming back. Shmi, JJ, Benioff and Wise, sad to see you go, but hope you.
But you're here with us.
Yes, hopefully that your Netflix stuff works out for you.
Yep.
And maybe one day you guys will come back to the Star Wars universe to mess around in this wonderful sandbox. But yeah, let's get into it. The Mandalorian finally out on Disney Plus. Disney Plus launched with some technical difficulties for some other people, not for us. It worked perfectly. Give them a tip of the hat from me. But yeah, let's talk about The Mandalorian, Episode 1. I want to know, what did you think about Episode 1 for the third time?
I thought it was really good. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting. I didn't know it was gonna be just PG.
Right.
TVPG, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the
rating
correct term? But yeah, I like it. The tone is serious with some flashes of humor as well as cuteness. Well,
of course.
Not in the first
this
episode,
will be in the first episode. This will be a spoiler review or kind of discussion on the first two episodes of The Mandalorian. So if you have not seen them, I would suggest go watching them unless you don't generally care about the spoilers for The Mandalorian. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as the story goes, I really enjoyed the first episode.
Right.
It's really a pushing off point.
It's a great setup. Great introduction to this world.
Yeah, as far as the helmet situation, that's the only thing I don't really like, but peanuts.
And talk to the folks out there. What do you mean by the helmet situation?
Oh, so he's, I guess, basically they're going down a Judge Dredd sort of situation where he's not going to take his helmet off all season, I guess. There is a line in this first one where it's like, is it true the Mandalorians don't take their helmets off? And I was like, no, that's not true. But maybe in his tribe that is true. So we'll see. He might take it off. He might never take it off. So,
and
I just want to see Pedro Pascal.
Right. That's like a personal preference. You enjoy, or at least from what you've seen of Pedro Pascal, you have liked the stuff that he has been in, and you like him as an actor, so you want to see him.
Yeah.
Obviously, that makes sense, and that's probably the reason why they will take off the helmet. I think once, maybe twice. Or it could have to do with the story. You never know.
The standout for me in the episode, though, Nick Nolte, all the way. I want more Nick Nolte all day.
Yes.
He's great.
Nick Nolte's character in this show. Don't know who he plays.
Again, nobody has any names here, but
yeah,
I like him.
Yeah, basically.
He's just the Mando.
He's the
Nick
Mando.
Nolte calls him Mando.
Yeah.
So I guess that's
Carl Weathers' character is in this first episode. He's in there for a minute. He's like the handler for this maybe sector for the Bounty Hunters Guild.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a big deal. But then again, so is Werner Herzog, who we also see in this first episode, who is the man who commissions our Mandalorian to go on this bounty, basically.
Right.
And
him and Ahmed Abtahi. I definitely said that wrong.
Abtahi. Abtahi?
So sorry about that.
Very sorry.
But he was in there. He said like 5 words.
Yes.
But he seemed like
He's a
cool
scientist.
character. Yeah.
He's a scientist for the Empire who wants the bounty alive, which, spoilers, it turns out to be a child in the species, from the species of the Yoda.
And
Yoda
Yaddle.
species. Yoda and Yaddle species. They have a child. And
Not together, but
Not
there
together, but there's a child from that species which the Empire wants. For the most part, they want it alive.
yeah.
They will accept it dead, or they will accept proof of termination of the child.
And he's not the only one they're giving this sort of track around to. I mean, we get IG-11.
IG-11's also in this episode. Very but unexpectedly humorous.
Yeah.
Of
great.
a
Very
droid.
dry.
Yeah, it just works. His
if you
chemistry.
listen really closely, it's Taika Waititi's voice,
Yeah.
just in sort of a monotone,
right,
sort of
dry delivery without the accent, which was interesting.
It was cool. No, but he was really funny, and his sequence at the end is just incredible. Like,
yeah,
it is TV. You can tell there are certain like CGI moments that I wasn't completely happy with. It looked like CGI.
Right.
One of the only things that I had a nitpick about.
Mm-hmm.
But with his character, whether it was CGI or animatronics, they did a really good job.
Right.
And that whole sequence
with IG-11, is pretty great.
IG-11 is just great.
They have some great stuff in there. I gotta say the casting so far seems to be pretty perfect. We have only seen 6-7 characters.
Yeah, we haven't seen Gina
Carano's. We haven't seen
Giancarlo
and
Esposito.
Giancarlo. Yeah.
Esposito.
But it seems like they know what they're doing
and
with the writing.
Swallow lady, I forget her first name.
What?
Emily Swallow. We haven't seen her yet.
Oh, okay.
She was like part of the main cast. Yeah,
right.
Emily Swallow.
Yeah. But it seems like the casting is great, and definitely the writing so far seems to be pretty awesome. With Nick Nolte's Ugnaught character, the way he speaks with "I have spoken," that should be on T-shirts, man.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian and his writing with not only with Carl Weathers, but also the amazing scene with Werner Herzog. That's great. The writing of where the story goes, I think, is really well done. I very much enjoy the way the characters talk, how everything in this show
Star Wars
is not explained, and that's something that I'm very happy with, that they're not taking the mainstream Star Wars approach and the Marvel approach, where every time you go to a new place, there's a big letters on the screen that'll tell you what planet you're on or where you're going, and I enjoy not knowing what planet I'm on, because that's how Star Wars started off. It was like, why did you know it was Hoth? Because the characters talked about it being Hoth. And if these characters don't talk about what the name of the planet is, then, it's cool to leave that up to imagination. And I just enjoy how they really seem to immerse you in this series with the characters, with the worlds, with the Mandalorian. And one of the coolest parts is that the little scene with the other Mandalorians on this planet with the Forge and talking about foundlings. We get some flashbacks from the Mandalorian's younger past.
A little confusing for me, but I feel like I've gotten a better grasp on it. They're doing a really good job. Dave Filoni, Favreau. They're both, I'm sure they're both all in these episodes. They're doing a really good job of setting stuff up and creating questions for you. And Dave Filoni is the kind of guy, like we've seen it in all of his other shows. If there's a question, he's going to address it. Like nothing is just throw this out there, filler, who cares?
Except for singing droids, which I doubt we'll have in this show. I like that
episode, but never mind.
We don't talk about that.
He always comes back around and tells you why he does stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
So, which I
especially
really like.
Stuff that is important and stuff that he knows us as fans will be like, what is that?
Yeah, so these beginning episodes, I think, do a really good job of, like, here's something we're not going to tell you about.
Yes.
And then later on, they're going to tell us about
They're
it.
going
And
to
we're going to be
show
like,
us.
oh,
Exactly.
okay.
We get some cool setup with the Beskar. Like one of the first lines in the very opening scene is one of the guys that the Mandalorian beats up. He asks him if that's real Beskar steel. So we understand that it's kind of it's an important thing, not just to the Mandalorians, but like it is well known as probably because it's so strong and durable and things like that. But yeah, I think this show so far in the first 2 episodes, it has been rather fun to watch. Surprisingly, very serious, and at the same time has a perfect amount of levity thrown in there with some great one-liners, like I've spoken. And the thing is, we don't have jokes in this show just for the sake of having a laugh. It seems like each time I laughed or someone else laughed while we were watching it, it was because a character said something or did something that was totally natural to that character. And same thing with the child. You for the entire time that you're watching this child, almost every time you always have somebody saying "aw," you know?
Yeah.
And it's great because of course it's a child and it works, and it's not just like, "Oh, they're just having an overtly cute child in there for no reason." No.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. The writing in this is just so good, and I guess the character you get the most of, but not necessarily in dialogue, is the Mandalorian.
Yes.
And his journey, even throughout these first 2 episodes, like this guy he's a Mandalorian. He's awesome. He's cool. He can, fight just as well as any Mandalorian. But he's not perfect, and we get to see that quite a bit.
He needs his jetpack.
Maybe. But actually, I like a cape flowing Mandalorian, which I guess they could have a jetpack too, but you got to be careful. You got to
be careful. Don't want to burn yourself.
But I just think they're doing a really good job of like, oh yeah, he's super awesome, but he's going to fail at this and then he's going to get back up and accomplish it eventually.
That's something that's great in this show. They set him up to be this really awesome dude who can handle himself, but at the same time, nobody's perfect. He does get beat up. In the second episode with that the big space rhino, he gets very much beat up.
Very much.
And
the breastplate and a whack.
Just bent out of shape. Absolutely.
How do you feel about Force users in this show?
I think it works because it's not. He didn't find a Jedi. He didn't go after a. He wasn't commissioned to go after a Jedi and then like fall in love with a Jedi, or he didn't like have a change of heart because the Jedi talked to him. It was like, of course, I'm okay with the Force wielder being such a main part of this show thus far, because I think it will help us get an understanding of the character of the Mandalorian and maybe help him go from this guy who is just all about the business to maybe having more of a heart and maybe even joining. If Gina Carano her character's an ex-shock trooper, we know that, so maybe she's still doing good for the galaxy, and maybe this child will kind of help the Mandalorian have that, not turn from evil, but like have that thing where it's like, oh, doing good for other people is not that bad.
Yeah. I wasn't really expecting a Force user. I thought that they would steer clear of that
for a while.
Yeah, even for the whole show. I wouldn't have been upset if it was just all about him, the Mandalorian. But since it is a kid, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's a child.
And also I don't think we're gonna get like this kid growing up and like a bratty Yoda, not Yoda.
Exactly. We're not gonna get teenage Groot style with this
at least
child.
I hope not.
No, I don't think so, because this race obviously ages very slowly. So by the time this child is that age, this Mandalorian would probably be dead.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but that's kind of that's the reality of it. But I one thing I do like is that it doesn't just get to use the Force and there is no quote-unquote consequences for it.
He's not a savant.
Yeah, the one time the child uses the Force, he lifts up the space rhino for a little bit, and then he kind of exhausts himself and passes out. And that's good, just to show that, like, every time the Mandalorian gets in a bind, he can't just rely on this child to get him out of it with the Force.
Definitely.
Even though the child does seem to take a liking to the Mandalorian, he obviously
reaches towards him many times.
Yeah, he reaches towards him. He was gonna help him out with his wound. So maybe those guys that were protecting him or around him that the Mandalorian and IG-11 kind of shot him all. Maybe they weren't taking care of the kid properly, and so the kid's like, wow, this guy's, he cares about me.
Let's meet space frogs.
Yeah, and then that was funny. This show is gonna sell a lot of toys, not just with the Mandalorian toys, but I could see kids buying this Ugnaught toy. I could see obviously kids were gonna buy the Baby Yoda toy. That's gonna be like a bestseller this year for stuffed animals and stuff like that.
Yeah. Definitely.
I wonder how they'll change the design of it to not look like Yoda.
Yeah, it'll just have like fuzz instead of like
he won't be
hair.
gray. He won't have the wrinkles on the forehead.
Right. Just smaller.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Yoda's
they make
him in all sizes.
Exactly.
But one thing I really love is the look of the Mandalorian.
He looks great. Yeah.
I mean, obviously the armor is what makes a Mandalorian a Mandalorian.
Yeah. His armor's a little older, a little tattered. His
but
cape is like a little tattered too.
He's getting pieces.
Yeah, he's getting new pieces.
Hopefully by the end we could see him in full
brand new armor.
Maybe he'll have his signet.
Maybe he'll have his jetpack too.
Maybe.
You never know.
His ship is also really cool. Also
the Razor's
old,
Crest? Yes. Pre-Empire, cool. I believe it says.
And that CGI for me is good.
Yeah, the ship
ships
looks
and the flying
nice.
around, that all looks great. Mm-hmm. It's only for me the blurbs and that don't
I think
really...
the blurbs look good. What I don't think holds up very well is sometimes the fighting. When they are fighting, especially when he's fighting like the aliens, it seems like it's sped up a little bit. Like I don't know if they did it or if these guys are just that fast, but to me it seems like it's sped up just a little bit, and that's like my one little pet peeve. My one pet peeve is the fact that these episodes are too short. Come on, Jon Favreau. Yes. George Lucas, give him a phone call. JJ, someone give him a phone call and let him know that he doesn't have to leave so much stuff on the editing room floor. Please.
I will say on the opposite side of that, I was surprised when I first saw that fight between the Space Rhino and the Mando. I was like, oh, they're slow motion. Like, what is this? There were some slow motion moments, but then it was sort of connected to the Force, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, it was cool.
But I feel like...
that was a good fight scene.
For me, the only thing that it just didn't gel for me was the blurbs. But I think the animatronics of the Ugnaught as well as...
Baby Yoda? Baby Yoda's probably a little bit of CG and animatronics.
Yeah, it's really good.
Puppet.
Whatever it is, a blend, just one, just the other.
Yeah.
Really good.
It looks solid.
Love Baby Yoda. I want one.
There's no doubt that they have some of the best people working on this show. I do enjoy that there is a nice amount of action. It's not overt. It's not just action. It's not Michael Bay. It's not just walking around waiting. Like most Westerns are. Let's be honest. Everybody who loves Westerns, you still got to know that some of those are very slow burns, and we get very few gunfights, and they're few and far between. Each episode in this, each of the 2 episodes, we have had a nice, healthy amount of action that kind of tie you over into to get you excited, and then it kind of calms down, and then you'll get excited again. I think there's been like 2 action scenes in each episode so far.
With a Star Wars movie, we're always like on to the next action.
Yes.
With this one, they sort of have to pace themselves because it is going.
And they've done a good
longer.
job so far.
I think so.
Much credit to Dave Filoni for directing the first episode. I think who directed the second episode?
Rick Famuyiwa.
Yes, him. Much credit to these people as well as Jon Favreau. This show so far has been kicking it out of the park.
Yeah,
knocking it out of whatever you want to say. We have scoring all the goals. But
the first episode definitely gets the story rolling. The second episode for me was more about character rather than moving the story along. It moved the characters along.
Right.
We found out about the Force, and the Mando also found out I can't talk.
Oh, it's okay.
Found out about the Force, and his character is moving along. He even considered a crew with the Ugnaught.
Yeah, he wanted to bring on the Ugnaught. I would have been very excited because that would have made for some really great banter.
He's definitely a standout for me.
Yes.
I do think that the big bad will not end up being Werner Herzog.
Okay.
I think it will be
Giancarlo.
Esposito.
Yeah. That's kind of what my idea of it was going into it. I was like, Werner Herzog.
I can't wait to see him because he's so good.
Yeah, I have seen him in Breaking Bad, and yes, that man can act. He can act his way out of anything. But yeah, like you were saying, I think that Werner Herzog might be the one to commission The Mandalorian and probably IG-11. And Giancarlo is the guy. He will most likely be the main quote unquote villain. It would be interesting to see if Giancarlo was part of like a different little section of the Empire than Werner.
Wants the baby.
Yeah, that might also want the baby or want to kill the baby or whatever. That would be kind of interesting to see that. But I definitely think that he would be the main villain for this season. I think he's such a good actor that he could be the main villain for the series. But Jon Favreau, he's got it all figured out, and I trust in him and them.
I think this is a great start for them. It's definitely going to be hard after going from 2 episodes in 1 week to 1 a week. That's right. It's going to be hard to wait.
Yes, Friday cannot come soon enough.
I will say the intro to the Star Wars, I guess, shows maybe is really cool. Just
it's
the
pretty
little
fun.
Sort of flashing over different characters.
One thing we haven't talked about in the previous 2 failed recordings of this episode is there was no crawl. Were you disappointed that there was no crawl?
Excuse me. No, I wasn't disappointed because I didn't know
about it.
I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
However, I love a crawl.
Right, crawls.
So
yes.
I would not mind a crawl at all. I love reading them. I love the way they look. It's Star Wars. It's a crawl is Star Wars.
Yes.
So I wouldn't have minded it. I haven't thought about it till this moment, which means I guess that I don't need it.
Yes, exactly. And that's the good thing. If you weren't like pining for it, if you weren't like, why didn't I get a crawl? This would have helped me understand things like where the Mandalorians are, who this guy is, and all that good stuff. If you are not like actively wanting that, then I think they did a great job of in the first episode with telling you all that stuff that would have been in the crawl, but just telling you rather in words, showing you. And that's kind of a thing that is all about movies. Are all the good movies, and people who make good movies will always tell you show, don't tell. And I think that's pretty cool. The first time I did watch it, I was like, okay, no crawl. But the cold open with that opening scene is just, it's good enough to where it's like, all right, I get exactly what, I get it.
You know who this guy is.
You get it. With the beeping, like it opens up with the beeping, just the sound, and then you get that like, he has this tracker. It's called a forb. Apparently it's like something that the bounty hunters use to track down their bounties.
Yeah, it's a great open.
That cold open really did it for me to where I was like, all right, I don't need a crawl.
Although if you did ask me beforehand
if you wanted
I would have said yes.
Yeah, me too. Like that, and that's just because like maybe it's the nostalgia.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to point out is the ending credits are really beautiful.
Oh yes, the concept art. That is I think it's so very smart of them to do that, because let's be honest, we have the books you have the books with the concept art from, people are even still enamored with the concept art from the original trilogy back in 1975.
But if you put it after here, chances are most people will see them. They'll want to stay and watch afterward to see this really beautiful art.
The concept art is
as
great.
Well as putting the music behind it, which something we haven't talked about. The music is really good.
The music is one
really
of
enjoy it.
One of my favorite things about this new show is the music and how it odes to the Western, but also puts the Star Wars feel on it. And it's just like, yes, I've yet to find a time in this show where I was like, why is the music like this? Or that is strange music. It works. It works.
Yeah,
and
I believe the guy who does it is Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, yeah.
He did Black Panther.
He
so
did. Yeah,
he's
he
pretty
did
great.
the score for Black Panther, not the what
Right, the soundtrack.
the soundtrack exactly. Which this score is great. Hats off to him. Let's be honest here, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and the producers behind this, they got like one of the best teams possible.
Yeah.
Like they put together a solid team, actors, behind camera people with the directors, the writing is great, the sets look great. Each
Yeah.
planet is unique and new and interesting in and of themselves. The Razor Crest looks amazing, the props, the sets, everything. They did a great job. The sound design, the effects,
Yeah. It's
everything is solid.
2 episodes in, and I think it's a good show.
It's a very, yeah, to me I think it's a pretty good show. Definitely the music helps. The opening scene where he first opens up the cantina door and then you just get that sound that is, to me, I can't even put a word, I can't describe it for those of our audience. You just have to hear it to understand what I'm talking about with that opening music. It's just top notch all around. But let's talk about what you want to see in the next episode, because we don't get one of the things that I find interesting is that we don't get like a little preview for the next episode. We'll
True.
probably get like a trailer on like Monday Night Football or something like that, like a little 30-second or something like that. But what would you like to see in the 3rd episode of The Mandalorian?
I mean,
Or what are you looking forward to?
for me, just I want to know, obviously, if he hands the boy or girl in.
We don't
The
know.
child.
The child.
If he hands the child in.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, he wants that, what is it, Beskar
He wants the
steel?
Beskar steel, and apparently the Empire has a good amount of it.
So, I mean, I want to see that. I want to know what happens there, but I also want Gina Carano. I mean,
Yeah.
I've not been her biggest fan, but the way her character looks has gotten me really invested in her character. So I want to see what her role is in all of this, as well as Esposito.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
those-
Emily Swallow, I want to see who everybody is.
Yeah, Giancarlo and Gina Carano, those two characters that they are playing are the ones that I really want to find.
Those are the most exciting.
Those are the ones that I'm like, give it to me now. Friday obviously can't come fast enough. I genuinely want to see if this Mandalorian, like how he gets on the bad side of the Empire. Because we do see in some of the trailers, this is not a spoiler, we do see in some of the trailers he is fighting some Imperials.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see, like, I genuinely want to know. It's a genuine debate among people around in my circle that will he turn in the kid or not, and that's kind of something that's really cool. Now we have a week. I think before, if you guys remember our previous episodes, I was very not on the side of releasing it weekly. I wanted it all in my veins, 8 hours straight or 10 hours straight, as fast as possible.
Nope. I'm pretty sure I wanted it weekly.
But
so.
and you wanted it weekly, and I have come over to the other side where I think
To the
weekly
dark side.
I think weekly works better for this show, and at least the episodes that we've gotten. I think that the weekly will work better because now the questions we have will not be answered in 10 minutes.
Right.
It'll be answered next week, and you have the entire week to go talk to your friends, right? Talk to your coworkers who downloaded Disney Plus and it didn't work for them. Haha. You have the week to tell them, hey, have you seen the new episode? Okay, what do you think? Like, what about that child? He used the Force and all that good stuff.
Let's digest it.
I genuinely enjoy the conversation of hearing other people's thoughts about it, not just about the whole season, but about an individual episode or 2 individual episodes, and then hearing them say, he's not going to turn it in. He obviously has a soft spot for the child. He's not going to turn it in. And then like next week he turns it in, and then they'll be like, what?
I definitely think it's creating a more nicer conversation than the previous content has, which is really
We're
cool.
looking at you, Resistance.
Yes. Yeah, so it's creating a really nice conversation because we don't know what to expect.
Right.
Because we could be saying, oh yeah, he's got a soft spot, or we could be saying, nah, he'll just turn him
We could
in
be
because
saying
he wants that
he has
Beskar
the
steel.
stoniest heart ever.
Yeah, because we just don't know this character well enough.
Exactly. And I think that'll be interesting. I want to have more lore. That's one thing that I'm excited for. One of the main things I'm excited for is to get more Mandalorian lore. What's up with this tribe? Why are they hiding? It seems like they're hiding underground. What is his signet? If he gets like his own sign or banner or what, like Boba Fett had. Are they gonna bring back a mythosaur? Like, I just want to get the lore. I want a book. I like when this season is done. I want like them to announce like a book of all the Mandalorian lore so far.
Yeah, I want more connectivity, which I've been seeing a lot of. Characters,
Yes,
species we've seen before.
Right.
Just the mentions of things and people. I want all that, and I feel like Dave Filoni has done a good job of that in his other shows. So he's going to do a good job.
You can only think that he's gonna tell John, hey, you know what? This character could connect to this character, or this thing could connect to this thing, and things like that.
Super cool.
I pray to George Lucas and all the gods of Star Wars. I pray to the Force that Ahsoka does not show up in this show.
She won't.
Don't give me hope.
She won't.
I hope she does not.
There's no reason for her
I would
to.
not be surprised if she did, though. I would not be surprised. But that's pretty much our thoughts on the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. But we obviously want to know your thoughts. The 5 of you, all 5 of you, we need you all to get on your phone and type a comment telling us what you are most excited for in the future, in the episodes upcoming for this show. And yes, tell us your thoughts in the comment section down below, on your phone, on your computer, wherever you're watching it. There's an option to leave a comment. If you hit the like button, it helps us out. I'm not sure how, but I think it does. Yeah. And it can't hurt. It's one click.
We'll get the answers later.
It's one
Dave?
click. Yes. Yes. Tell us how many stuffed little Yoda species guy. How many stuffed childs? I don't like that.
Right.
How many stuffed little Yodas are you gonna buy for all of your children or your kids or yourself?
Yeah. Yourself.
We are in the middle of playing the new Star Wars game, Star Wars Jedi Lost or Jedi Fallen Order. I'm not sure how long the game is, so I can't really tell you how far we are into it. We have played a good amount of hours into it, and I personally am having fun. And
I don't enjoy playing, but the story stuff seems fine.
Right, the story so far seems to be pretty good. So yeah, when we finish that, we will probably we'll probably talk about that when we finish it.
Definitely.
I can't promise next week because, again, I don't know how long the story is, so I don't know how far we are into it. But yeah, so far so good with that video game. Very enjoyable to me, and this week was just great. This week we had two episodes. We had a new video game come out for Star Wars, and it was a very good week for Star Wars fans. So yeah. Definitely tell us your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let us know what you are excited for with The Mandalorian, and what has been your favorite moment in the show so far.
Disintegration.
That was not bad.
It's a thing.
That was not bad.
We've finally seen it.
Yes, Jawas are not exclusively Tatooinean. Is that a word?
I don't know.
They are not exclusive to the place, the planet called Tatooine. And so far, this show has been solid, very solid. Give us just a little bit more, though. It's a little short, but I can't complain. I can't complain with what we have so far. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of The Rule of Two here on this channel, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Oh, may the Force be with you.
Oh, always.